How the new 2022 F1 cars could be just as quick as 2021. I think it's safe to say we're finally at that stage where we are casting our minds to the 2022 F1 season and what the massive regulation changes will mean for our beloved sport. Picture the first race of the season in Bahrain. We're going to be seeing much more simplistic aerodynamics, 18-inch wheel rims, wheel winglets, and more sustainable fuel, to name a few. But how fast are they going to be? Originally, when the brand spanking new 2022 F1 car was launched, there were predictions of it being around 3 to 3.5 seconds slower than what we saw in 2021. But that was 2 years ago. Fast forward to today, and the prediction by Pat Symonds, the Chief Technical Officer at F1, has been slashed down to around half a second. You might be thinking, how on earth can F1 teams who have to abide by much simpler front and rear wings, which affect downforce, less horsepower from the fuel, which will impact speed, brand new tyres, which they have much less data on, turn around and say, yeah, you know what, Pat, I reckon it's going to be much closer to half a second off what we did in 2021. That is absolutely bonkers in my opinion. But I guess that's what F1 teams do. They come up with genius solutions, and with being given an extra year to work on ideas and designs, they seem to be producing miracles. So where is the time being found if they can't really do all too much with their wings, fuel and so on? Well, let me introduce you to an F1 team's best friend for next year, ground effect. If you're not familiar with what ground effect is, let me give you a quick insight. Back in the late 1970s, the Lotus 78 rocked up to the grid with the first concept of ground effect. Essentially, the F1 car was designed in the shape of upside-down airplane wings, which, when running around a circuit, created a Venturi effect. In more simple terms, the airflow allowed for the car to quite literally be stuck to the ground by sucking it into the racetrack, hence the term ground effect. Are you still with me? Good. However, by the early 1980s, ground effect was largely banned from Formula 1. The problem was that the use of ground effect was becoming too extreme and too reliant on it working perfectly. If one of the side skirts became damaged or a car went over a bump in the road which caused the airflow to be disturbed under the car, then there would be a significant, and I mean significant, loss of grip, which could then create a very scary situation. Of course, the reintroduction of ground effect in 2022 is not going to be the same as what we've seen in the past, and safety will be paramount for all the F1 teams. There will be no side skirts allowed, but the cars are permitted to include underfloor tunnels rather than a stepped floor, which will provide large amounts of downforce. It will help them to claw back the performance that will be lost through the simplifying of aerodynamics, heavier cars and slightly less powerful fuel. Not only does ground effect help with performance, but the racing too. The airflow produced is much cleaner than generating downforce from the aerodynamic innovations on the previous car's exterior, and this in turn will hopefully give us much closer racing. I seriously have my hopes up, can you tell? There you have it, how next year's F1 cars may only be half a second and perhaps even quicker at some point than what we saw last year. How important is lap time to you? Would you mind if they were 3 seconds off? Let us know in the comment section below.